Hi muggles and magicians, or shall I say fellow witches and wizards. We are here today to talk about Universal Studios. Ironically, even though I had a Disney World ticket and I came down here for Disney World, I think I like Universal more. Even though I prefer, I guess, the attractions and the themes and the overall vibe of Disney, Universal had much better rides in my opinion, like really good thriller rides. And even though I wasn't crazy about I wasn't a diehard fan of some of the movies that were being shown off, I did find it very cool to go around the park, and of course, Harry Potter. So by default, Universal wins for me. I did not do this trip solo. I met a very awesome traveler through a traveler's app I used, and we had the best time. She was wonderful company. We took some of the most hilarious photos. I'm actually gonna print them out and put them in like a scrapbooking journal I'm starting for my travels. And it was just a really great day, and she had all these amazing insider tips and tricks and secrets about the park, especially me being a Harry Potter fan. She was able to show me a lot. So I did not do this trip solo. However, just how I said for Disney, if you are going to Universal alone, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. Everyone's so self-absorbed in their own vacation and what they're doing and where they're going. They don't care that you're alone. They're not paying attention to you, I promise. No one's like, oh, look at that person, they're alone. It's not like that. It isn't this overwhelming pressure or social stigma of like, oh my gosh, you're at the park by yourself. If you're focusing on the right things, if you're focusing on enjoying your trip, having fun, and just riding the next ride or eating the next good meal, you're probably gonna focus less on the fact that you're alone. So in all fairness, I did hang out with a friend all day, so I can't fully speak on it, but I spent the whole day at Disney by myself, and I had no issues. I had an absolute blast. There are perks to being alone in the park, however. There is something called the single rider line. When you go to Universal, there is your standard line, which you go through. There is an express line, and unlike Disney, Universal doesn't have any sort of fast pass automatically included in your ticket, which means that if you want to use any kind of privileged pass to cut the line, you have to pay extra for it. So that's the express pass. It allows you to cut the line so many times in a day so you don't have to wait for the crowds. And then there's the single rider line. The single rider line is for solo riders. If you're in the standard line and you're with a group, they do really well in keeping your group together to make sure you can ride together if that's important to you. So if you have a group of 2 or 4, they're gonna split you up so that you're all in the same cart or in the row, or however you like it. That said, if you have a weird number, say there's a row of 4 and you have a group of 3, then the person will put the 3 people in the row of 4 and there's an extra seat. This is where the single rider line comes in, because they are going to pull one person from the single rider line and fill that extra seat. Basically making sure the ride is full, everybody gets to ride, and if you're by yourself, you're able to fill in the spare slots they have. This is really cool because single rider lines usually go way faster than the standard line, because you're not waiting to be put together with a group or sit together with your friends. So if you are alone and you're going with the single rider rides, you might be flying through rides. If you are going by yourself, then definitely utilize the single rider line, because you're going to ride rides much faster. Even if you're with like a friend or two and you guys aren't like, oh, we have to ride together, then you can still use it and you might get through these lines faster as well. That said, you can go solo or with friends. I just got the 1 park ticket. So Universal has 2 parks. They have Universal Studios, which is like the original park, and then there's Islands of Adventure, which is, when you go to Universal, you're going to see the City Walk. It's this huge expanse, kind of like a promenade, and it splits up. There's a sign that says Universal Studios this way, it's more towards the right. Islands of Adventure is more towards the left. can get the 1-day 1 park pass, which allows you to pick one of the parks, spend all day there. Or you can get the 1-day 2 park pass, which allows you to go to both parks and switch back and forth all day as much as you like. Or you can add the extension of going to Volcano Bay, which is their water park. So I decided to get the 1-day 1 park pass just because I wasn't sure if I could sustain both parks in a day. That said, what I mean by that is the lines get very long at these rides. It was my very first time at Universal. I didn't know if I was going to be waiting in line all day, and I didn't know how expansive the second park, Islands of Adventure, was. So I didn't want to go ahead, and it was, like I said, it was an impromptu decision. So I was a little worried about buying the 1-day 2 park pass and then not having enough time to enjoy both parks fully. That said, fellow Harry Potter friends, please listen up. Diagon Alley is in Universal Studios Park. Hogsmeade is an Islands of Adventure park. They split the two up. Obviously strategic, you can make more money with people buying the 2 park pass in a day or going to both parks and, you know, getting their Harry Potter on. If you want to ride the Hogwarts Express, which is the train that goes from Diagon Alley, or basically Universal Studios, the original, the original park, to Island of Adventure, Hogsmeade, you must have the 2-park ticket. That is the only way you can ride the Hogwarts Express, which connects the 2 Harry Potter attractions in each separate park together. If you do not have that ticket, you are not allowed to get on the Hogwarts Express or go over to Hogsmeade, which is in the second park, Islands of Adventure. So ultimately, sticking with my 1-day 1-park pass and just enjoying Diagon Alley and all the other attractions in Universal Studios, that was enough for me. Personally, I was super satisfied with just seeing Diagon Alley. So I had my ticket, I decided what park I wanted to do. I wore something simple, I was just in shorts and a tank top. I brought a bunch of snacks with me for sure, and I had drinks, sealed drinks, and full water bottle. You are allowed to bring those things into the park. I had 2 backup battery chargers for my phone, plus the cables, sanitizers, a sweat rag, moisturizing wipes for your hands and face just to clean up, and that's about it. And I was good to go. So that said, there's not much you need for Universal. I really just kind of winged it the day of and met up with my traveling friend, and I had an absolute blast. As far as rides, I didn't have any expectations or do any prior research to going to Universal. So honestly, I had just kind of like occasionally Googled, the most popular ones, or I just kind of went on what I saw. My absolute favorite ride had to be Revenge of the Mummy. I did not expect so much fun going in. There was fire and it was crazy. There was fire inside the ride. It got hot. Things were jumping out and popping up, and we were spinning, and then we went backwards at one point. The roller coaster shot forward, and all of a sudden it came back. We also got to check out some really cool shows, and if it wasn't for my traveling friend, I probably never would have even looked into them. But we went to a Fear Factor show. And then we also went to, my 2 favorite ones were the Animal Show. That was so adorable. I think that was one of my favorite ones. And then we also went to like a Hollywood horror makeup show where they show you how they do all the horror movies and like the fake blood. That was really cool too, just to see all the behind the scenes and the amount of effort that goes into making these movies and the makeup behind the movies. So that was really awesome. So the rides were super fun, the shows were really entertaining, and then I got lucky enough that I decided to go when Universal was having Mardi Gras. So if you're able to make it to Universal when they're having some kind of event, definitely go, because it's an extra treat on top of already getting to enjoy the park. That said, I had a quick lunch and had some really amazing chicken tacos, and surprisingly they were affordable. The one thing that really shocked me is when I went to Disney and Universal, I thought they were gonna be like $20 hot dogs, but they do have stands that are affordable. They might be like $1 or $2 or $3 extra than what you would get outside the park, but nowhere near what I thought the prices were gonna be, like something crazy. So I got some $10 tacos and they were really good and they were filling. Combined with the snacks I brought to the park, I was good to go. So that said, we rode rides, saw some shows, got to see the Mardi Gras parade, and then of course, Harry Potter. Make sure you take out a good chunk of time to fully appreciate the magic that is Diagon Alley. First off, it's hard to find, which just adds, my friend was saying this and she's completely right, it adds to the magic of the park. If you look at everything on the map, the Diagon Alley is not just like, oh, there, you know, go follow this and go left. It's hidden, actually. It's behind, well, it's Diagon Alley. That's the coolest part. Of course, like in the actual books and movies, you have to go to like a secret passageway to get to it. Once you walk behind that wall, childhood, dagger to the heart. It was so beautiful, it was wonderful, it had this great feel that was authentic to the books and movies, and all the shops, all the little quaint shops lining the cobblestone. You're able to see a bunch of stuff. There's so much going on in each shop. A lot of the shops you're able to go into and buy, and they're like merchandise shops, but if you go into the windows, they're animatronics, they're moving displays, there's stuff that's making it look like, oh, you know, magic is actually happening. There's so much to explore. It's busy, yes, but you really want to take the time to actually look into each shop if you can, or at least look at each shop. And then of course, straight ahead, you have Gringotts Bank. It's the first thing you notice when you go in. It's Diagon Alley and then the huge Gringotts Bank and the dragon at the top. And if you stick around, every 15 minutes, that thing blows real fire. You heard me. Take a right, there's more like Harry Potter-esque stores going on, and then if you take a left, you can get to Nocturne Alley. There is so much going on in Diagon Alley. My friend showed me this building you can go in and you can actually talk to one of the gremlins and he'll talk back to you. Yeah.
They take photographs with or without flash, as well as video recordings if you must.
There are interactive parts of Nocturne Alley and throughout Diagon Alley where if you use your wand, an interactive wand, you're able to make magic happen. It's overwhelming. It really is overwhelming. I was getting emotional every time I saw the dragon breathe fire. That's what was getting me. I saw it twice, one during the day, but if you can see it during the night, definitely catch it. It's so much cooler at night. And then of course you still have the ride inside of Gringotts Bank, which you're able to go on as well, and then also see the inside, which the bank was gorgeous. There's so much to see. But I was so satisfied with Diagon Alley and the Harry Potter world, being able to be immersed in that on my first trip. And like I said, it's hidden, it's set aside from, it's in Universal Studios, but it's its own section of Universal Studios that makes you forget you're in the park, and maybe for a split second you feel like somebody really did send you that letter to Hogwarts just for a split second. But that said, that was really cool. It was absolutely my favorite part of the park. It was magical, what can I say? It was absolutely magical. I would consider Universal more thrilling and adult than Disney, and the rides are definitely more, I don't want to say exciting because each park is respected in its own way, you know. Disney, the visuals were great, the overall vibes, and so was Universal, but the rides itself had more of a thrill for me. And they are more intense, so much that you have to get a locker for some of them to put your stuff up. Unlike Disney, you're able to carry your bag on the ride and put it by your feet, and you're even allowed to take your phone on the ride. Universal has it where you might have to check out a locker to put your belongings into the locker, and then check out the locker when you get off the ride. The lockers are free. They you can get, if you need a really big one, you can pay for one, but they give you a small size locker about this much, and if you're able to shove all your stuff in there, you're able to use that till you get off the rides. So that was really cool. And then at the end of the night, they had a huge waterworks show at the front of the park, which was also absolutely gorgeous. And they play these projections on the water. One thing I really appreciated was that after the show, it wasn't this chaotic stampede. If you check out my Disney video, I talk about that. The fireworks show, everybody kind of swarms out. It's very crowded and chaotic. I don't know if it's the day I went or if it's because Universal was more sparse or maybe had more area for people to cover. I'm not sure. But when the waterworks show ended, everybody kind of, you know, walked out in an orderly enough fashion. It wasn't this chaotic stampede of people running to their cars and trying to get home. And then also my friend gave me a really good advice on taking the free ferry down the river to the Hard Rock Hotel. And by doing that, I was able to go to the Hard Rock Hotel and call my ride share from there versus calling it from Universal like everybody else was. And I actually talked to my rideshare driver, and he said he appreciated that a lot because traffic was so dense and clustered at Universal because everybody was trying to get picked up. So that's a really good bit of advice if you're able to, when you get to the Universal City Walk, which is basically the promenade that's outside of, that connects Islands of Adventure Park with Universal Studios. When you get there, try to take the ferry somewhere else, to another resort, hotel, whatever, and then call your rideshare from there if you're using rideshare, just because it'll isolate you from the crowds, and that way you're not trying to get picked up and find your, you know, driver among everybody else who's trying to find the driver too. So it was a good piece of advice, and I got a free ferry ride. We'll definitely have a fulfilling day if you do the 1 day, 1 park pass, and you'll probably get to ride a few rides, see a lot, enjoy some good food, go to a few shows, enjoy a parade, and get to enjoy the nightly waterworks show. If you are using the 1 day 2 park pass, just be mindful of your time. Don't try to cram every single ride or excursion or attraction or show into 1 day, because you might be overwhelmed and you might end up cheating yourself out of seeing the other parks. So to avoid that, I would just say pick and choose what you want to do. Don't try to ride every single ride or, like I said, go to every show. And then maybe even set a time for yourself, like, okay, at 4 o'clock, no matter what happens, we are switching over to the other park. Make sure you check out my full video on my first time to Universal. And aside from that, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next adventure. Bye!